Hi, 3rd and 4th grade, Mr. Cleghorn here. Today we're going to be talking about the settlement of Pennsylvania. Now, remember in our last session we talked about 3 colonies. Do you remember what they were? They were New York, Delaware, and New Jersey. Now, what we remember about New York was that it was claimed by 3 different countries. You remember what they were? The Dutch had a claim, the French, and so did the English. But who ended up having the colony? It was the English. The Dutch had the colony first, but the English took it away from them. Now, Delaware. You remember what country first settled Delaware? It was actually the Swedes in Sweden. But you remember that the Swedes didn't send a lot of settlers into Delaware. So, it was taken over by the English. Now, the Swedes made a fort in Delaware. Do you remember what that fort name was? Fort Christina. And lastly, we talked about New Jersey. New Jersey was first settled by the Dutch, but it was too close to the other English colonies, so England took a claim over it as well. Now, New Jersey was named after 2 lords. You remember their names? It was John Berkeley and George Carteret. All right. Now we're going to talk about the colony of Pennsylvania, like I said. So go ahead and open your books to page 60. And we're going to talk about Pennsylvania. All right. So in 1643, we're right here in the middle of the page here. In 1643, Swedish settlers wandering from Delaware began the first settlement in Pennsylvania. A small settlement was later named Chester. However, the settlement for which we most remember Pennsylvania began in 1681. For the story of this settlement, we must first go back to England. You will remember that England did not offer freedom of religion at that time. For this reason, many separatists, Puritans, and Catholics had settled in the New World. However, there was one group of people whose beliefs seemed so strange to others that they were not even welcome in the new American colony. This group was called the Quakers. Now, let's look at some of the beliefs that made the Quakers so unpopular. Well, for one, the Quakers did not believe that one person could be more important than another. Therefore, they would not show more respect for one person than another. They would not take off their hat to show respect for someone. Neither would they bow before anyone, not even the King of England. The Quakers did not believe in any kind of fighting. Therefore, they would not fight to protect themselves or their country, even in time of war. As you can see, the Quakers' beliefs were quite different from those other groups who lived at that time. Although the Quakers were a very peaceful group of people, no other groups welcomed them. In England, they were arrested for their beliefs. Those Quakers who did not go to the colonies were often beaten and treated worse than they had been in England. William Penn. A young man named William Penn became curious about the Quakers' beliefs. Wanting to find out about these people, he attended their meetings. William Penn liked what he heard. It was not long before he became a Quaker too. William Penn's father was an admiral in the British Navy and a good friend of the King of England. You can imagine how angry he was when his son William said he became a Quaker. William's father had hoped that William would become an important officer in the British Navy, as he himself had done. But William would not, because of the Quaker belief that fighting is wrong. Penn's father was well liked by the king, but William, being a Quaker, would not show respect for the king. Penn's father was also a very wealthy man. But because of his Quaker beliefs, William did not feel that wealth was important. Try as he did, William Penn's father could not change his son's mind. After his father died, Penn remembered that the king had borrowed a large sum of money from his father and he never paid it back. Penn knew that the king would not give it to him, a Quaker, the money, but perhaps the king would give him land in America to begin a colony for the Quakers. The king was pleased with Penn's ideas. Not only could he easily repay the debt by giving Penn the land in a faraway America, but he would also rid England of the troublesome Quakers. New colony, Pennsylvania. The king named this new colony Pennsylvania, which means Penn's Woods. In 1681, William Penn sent a group of settlers to choose a good place to build a town. The next year, Penn brought a group of colonists to Pennsylvania. Penn himself went to the Native Americans and asked them to sell him land. His conscience told him that he was wrong to take land from the Indians. The Indians agreed to sell land to their new white friend. Then William Penn told the Indians that Quakers did not believe in fighting. They would never carry guns or knives or hurt the Indians. In return, the Indians promised to be at peace with the white men. As a result, Quaker children played with Indian children. The Indians paid Quakers' neighbors neighborly visits. There was no fear of Indian wars for many years. The city of brotherly love. Penn began making plans for a beautiful city with gardens and trees between houses, and straight, wide roads leading throughout the town. The name Penn chose for the city was Philadelphia, which means the city of brotherly love. So William Penn was the first one to name the city Philadelphia. Remember that. People of all faiths would be welcome in Pennsylvania. Penn believed that no one should be forced to believe in the Quakers' beliefs. Pennsylvania had much to offer the new colonist. It had good farmland, peaceful neighbors, good governments, and freedom of religion. Settlers came from many different European countries, seeking the peace and freedoms that Pennsylvania had to offer. Before long, Pennsylvania became a very important colony. Thank you for tuning in. Next time we're going to be talking about Virginia, Maryland, and the Carolinas. So stay tuned. See you next time.